Hey, what's up you guys? Today we're going to talk a little bit about your painting kits that you just picked up. So, if you went to school, then you got this hilariously comical pizza box with no pizza. If you open these up, it's filled with painting supplies. So, we're going to go through these supplies and talk a little bit about what each one is for and what these things are. So, one of the first things you're going to notice in here is you have a brand new paint palette, and opening these up, you're gonna see that each one comes with its own lid. This is really great because you can separate the palette from the lid and you can have your paint in here, you can mix in the center. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I mix on the lid as well, but it's not always the best choice to mix on the lid because then when you put your lid on, you might accidentally kind of make a little bit of a mess. But if you're just using small amounts of paints and you plan to wash it between uses anyways, it wouldn't matter. Since this lid does fit fairly tight, it will keep your paint wet for a few days, which is nice. So make sure you don't lose this lid. It is kind of a cool, important thing that'll save you in the long run. You'll also notice there's a tiny little spray bottle. This is empty right now, but what you can do is you can open it up and put water in it. That way you can actually use it to mist your paint, because I was very worried about paints drying out, so I thought if you have water in it, you can go ahead and spray paint. Another thing in your kit, we have a roll of masking tape. Masking tape is a wonderful way to mask off areas in a painting, so that way paint doesn't get in places where you don't want it, so maybe on borders or on edges, or maybe you want to create geometric designs. Masking tape is a really good material for this. Painter's tape is good too if you have it. Painter's tape is a little less sticky, but either one works just fine. I put in a black twin tip Sharpie because sometimes it's hard to paint fine details, so I thought, well, they might want a Sharpie so they can add black detail when their painting is dry. One side is bold, and then the other side is fine. So you got two different line thicknesses with this Sharpie. You'll also have a little bundle of paintbrushes. Now if I open this up, we have a large flat brush. It's called flat because the top of it is flat, you'll notice. It's rectangular. A medium flat. Okay, these are really good for covering large spaces. A small flat, and then you have a bunch of what are called round brushes. So you have some really small round detail brushes, and then some medium round brushes. So you have a nice combination of flats and rounds. You're welcome to also include and incorporate your own brush collection if you have some. If you have angle brushes or you have fan brushes, you're totally allowed to use those. You don't have to just stick with these, but these are a really good beginner set that I think will allow you to do any of the projects that we are working on in this class. The next thing you're going to find is a bunch of canvases. So the smallest one that we have is a 4x4. This is called a canvas board because you'll notice it's not super thick. We have an 8x10 canvas board. I threw in some different painting surfaces as well. These are called illustration board. This is what the back looks like. These are 10x10s. And then our largest canvas is an 11x14 canvas board. We have a stack of newsprint for sketching. And then you have two large sheets of paper that have been folded. They're really big. I think they're 18x24s, so you can use this as a placemat. You can use this to practice techniques on. It's just kind of in there to protect your work surface and for you to try out some brush techniques so you're not practicing on the canvas board, because canvas board is going to be for your final projects. Okay, and then in a Ziploc bag you have some paint. I hope that none exploded. They should have all their lids pretty tightly on there, but let's go through the different colors that you have. So to start, we'll just kind of start with basics. We've got black, we've got white. These are acrylic paints. Acrylic paints dry out over time, So you got to make sure, when not in use, make sure that the lid is really clicked down. Don't leave the lids off of them when you're not using them. All right, and then you also have this one. I put a little G on the top of the lid. This is Glazing Medium. This is a transparent colorless paint. So you can use it by pouring some into your palette, and you can mix colors into it, and then it'll make transparent washes. It's almost like turning your acrylics into a watercolor. I use it a lot. It's kind of like a favorite trick of mine. We have like a burnt sienna, like brown. We have a red. We have violet. I think the violet's really hard to mix, so that's why I gave you a pre-mixed one. And then now we're getting into some colors that you're gonna notice have some duplicates. Oh, but first we have turquoise. Turquoise is another color that I find challenging to mix, so that's why I included it. Similar to the violet, I think that it's hard to mix these colors and get like true violet, true turquoise, so you got little freebies there. I just bought pre-mixed versions. All right, and now we have a variety of yellows. We have what I call a cool yellow and a warm yellow. So although they're both yellow, one is more cool toned, has more like blue tones in it, and then this one has more red tones in it. So they're gonna mix differently with other colors. And then we have a cool blue and a warm blue. So we have this very cool, oh no, this one's our cool blue. I don't know, it's hard to describe like what makes something cool and what makes something warm, but this is more like true blue, if you know what I mean, and this one has more like red tones to it. So once we get into color mixing and mixing secondary colors from primary colors, you'll see how these do not make the same green, for example, when you mix them with a yellow. So that is what is in your painting kit. It's going to be a lot of fun, you guys. Please do take care of these supplies. The most important things to remember is you got to keep these lids clicked on here. When you're painting and you want to use a color, just put a little bit into your palette and leave most of it in here. Don't lose these lids, because how else are you going to keep them from drying out? You can use your little spray bottle. If you start to notice that they've been sitting out for a little bit, you might want to just give each one a little spritz of water, because that's going to be our trickiest thing, I think, during hybrid learning, is learning how to keep our paints refreshed, so that way you can use them for the whole semester. Wonderful. So I hope you got a chance to pick up your painting kit, and if not, get your Heine over to C Home right now, because we want to make sure that you can paint along with us once we get started.